this one, and this one. All right. It's got me sitting lopsided in the chair. What's up with that? Oh, what are you doing? Hi, hello, good evening to you too. Um, you are on time. You are on time. On time. On time. On time. Um, Okay, so I'm gonna explain a bunch of shit about me and Theo's OCs that I've probably explained 30 times by now. But I have to like keep doing it every now and then I don't do it for a while, and then I get a whole bunch more followers on Blue Sky, and it gets lost, and I have to do it again. So, I'm also gonna explain some stuff, and I'm gonna get a little grumpy here for a minute. And some of the grumpy stuff Theo doesn't know about, so he's probably gonna get a little grumpy too. Okay. When I said I would explain the boys tonight, I meant Uzva and Pilvi, aka Akaikiri and Shiroi Red Mist and White Cloud. Okay. Our OCs are fandom OCs. Our OCs come from a series called Final Fantasy Unlimited. Here's the trick. Final Fantasy Unlimited is a 25-year-old anime. It is 25 years old this year. The other problem with FFU, as it's affectionately known, is it was not very well received, and yeah, and it's unfinished. The series is so old that when it was released, Square was still Squaresoft, if it tells you anything. It came out the same time as Final Fantasy X and Spirits Within. So what happened was the series got canceled halfway through. The other half of it was left in a script book that never made it outside of Japan. And we've basically been working with fucking cookie cutters. And like, I need you guys to be aware. Exactly. We said we will do it. I need you guys to be aware that the series legitimately only ever features 2 Mystericans. 2! That's it! We get the boys. We get the princes. And we don't even know they're princes until I had to go digging up the shit that didn't make it outside of Japan. Kumo, Pilvi, Kiri, Uzva. Big Brother doesn't show up until like episode 18 and out of 25, and we literally get them for 1 episode. 1. So I need you to be aware too that Pilvi, our beloved Shiroi Kumo White Cloud, appears in 11 of 25 episodes, and he talks in 8 of 25 episodes. Some of the episodes he shows up in, he doesn't even talk in. So, like, this shit got legit abandoned, and I need you to know that, like, this is it. This is what we got of Mysterica. We got nothing fucking else. And, like, in original canon, their horns aren't even crystal, but I thought that was badass, so I ran with it. So I need you guys to be aware of that. When you look at this, that only 2 of them are canon. So, like, literally the only thing we know is White and Red exist, Mist has powers, we know Kumo's an unlimited. I'll explain to that what that means in a second. Kumo is an unlimited, and that Kiri Uzva is extremely upset with him in the episode he shows up in. Like, that's it. In the stuff that didn't come outside of Japan tells us that they're princes and that Mysterica cities were made of crystal. That's as much as we got. That's it. That's all I have. That's what we've been working with. That's kind of what we've been running with. And we've had to, like, go insane about it. So, like, if you guys have ever noticed when I do post art of Who's What or Pilvi, because that's the thing, this series never actually lets them call them by names. And that's also the thing too, like, it's the Final Fantasy Unlimited takes a place entirely in Wonderland. Mind you, we also get, like, jack shit. I have the art books. They don't tell you anything. They barely did anything. They established that worlds existed, but they were destroyed, and that's about as much as we get. Oh, I have the whole series on my computer if you guys ever want to just sit there and watch it. Because I have it all on my external hard drive, and we can just sit there and stream it one night. Yeah, I bought the box set for Theo for his birthday one year, and I've had the box set since it was originally released. And, like, we get, like, scraps. Basically, we got, like, cookie cutters, and it's, like, a really, really fuzzy picture in a broken puzzle, and we kind of just went, fuck it, it's ours, we're gonna do it. And, like, hold on. The series, actually, Kumo isn't even the main character. I picked the bad guy and went him. He's my baby. Kumo's technically the antagonist. The series focuses... Oh, I do have that up. These two kids are actually the main characters. They're twins. Their name is I and You. And they end up going into a world named Wonderland to find their lost parents. And they end up having this girl, Lisa, follow them around to make sure they don't, like, you know, fucking die. Kumo and Kaze... yeah, I sent it to you, dude. Kumo and Kaze are the big characters that me and Theo write. They're, like, ungodly fucking important to the way the series fucking functions. And, there they are. There's the boys. Kumo and Kaze are the characters that this whole series, like, functions around. And they're, like, the whole soil mist situation. So that's also the thing. I can give you guys, like, a full clip of the series when Kumo's brother exhales, and you can see what I mean by a mist cloud, and I can show you what I mean by the mask splits. Actually, I have that on a GIF. I have that on a GIF. Hold on. I have been dying for you guys to, like, physically see what I mean when I say the mask splits, because they don't actually touch it. There it is. Kumo. This is what I mean. He doesn't touch it. It just splits. I have a whole thing written about how it works. I have a whole thing. And that's also the thing. Kumo's also telepathic with his blade, but that gets into the whole god thing. Okay, the other thing you need to know when it comes to Kumo and Kaze, because I had to, like, take this tiny little line. We got a single fucking sentence, and I had to, like, turn it into an entire functional set of like, how this class of being works. Kumo and Kaze are known as what they're known as a type of being called an unlimited. The series defines what unlimited as those with the power to challenge God. So that is all we got. That's how we have unlimited defined to us. And we know that they're like OP as fuck. And we know they're immortal. That's what we got. That's how unlimited is being an unlimited is defined. Those with the power to challenge God. And it doesn't explain fucking shit. And I have come up, look, that's why when you were like, stuff about Pelvi, I was like, I have literally like over 50 meta written about him. Holy shit. I figured out how magic works. I figured out why unlimited works. I figured out how the immortality works. I figured out how resurrection works. I figured out how healing works. Like, Theo can tell you, I literally just want, like, almost full D&D class of how this man fucking functions. So, like, that's the thing I need to tell you, because this is the grumpy part. I've told people in the past, hey, they're fandom OCs. Hey, they're fandom OCs. He exists. He exists. That's it. And I've, explained they're fandom OCs. Oh, I can also show you that picture of them tiny, so you know what I mean. See? Tiny. That's what I mean by tiny. When they're babies. But I have explained to people in previous Discord communities for art stuff, that I no longer really partake in. I've explained to people that I have fandom OCs and that they're fandom OCs, but I basically had to do all of this building, and then I got treated like they were illegitimate because they're fandom OCs, and I got treated like my work in my world building no longer meant jack shit. Yeah, because they're fandom OCs. So that put a really sour taste in my mouth, and I no longer associate with any of these people. And I no longer hang out in that Discord. I got treated like my shit was illegitimate. When if you watch the series, like Theo said, because Theo's watched the series, and Theo originally watched the series from the copies I have on my hard drive. It's real easy. We can set up a watch party. I just can't stream it on Twitch. But we basically have a big watch party, and you guys still have a chat, and you guys can go crazy. I love watching this show with people. It's fucking ridiculous. So, because that's the thing, I do write quite a few of the canon characters. Okay, yeah. They don't like each other. They do, but they don't. And we had to figure that lore out too. And that's it. That's why I said they're like kind of fandom OCs, because that's also the thing. Like, the series has this whole running rivalry between the two that, like, he has amnesia and can't remember shit, and when he wakes up, the only thing he cares about is finishing things with him and telling him that he's gonna, like, hunt him down and fucking kill him. But he has, like, zero fucking desire to engage with him, and then you kind of end up finding out that, like, he doesn't want to fight him, and he considers them on the same side, so you don't know what the hell happened. That, like, you end up finding out he thinks he killed his sister when his world got destroyed, but he actually saved his sister, and that the main bad guy manipulated his memories. So, like, there's this whole big mess between these two, and, like, the series didn't even completely iron that out, so we went, fuck it, we'll do it. And we fixed that too. Basically any question that the series left open, which was, like, probably over 1,000, we just went, fuck it, we'll do it. Like, I can't even begin to, here, hold on, we'll that'll make this more sense. Hold on, let me show you a thing, and this will make it make more sense, okay? The reason why I said that I'm, like, considering making a document for you guys that's jumpable, and I used the sentence, like the table of contents that's on my blog, If you come to my blog, this is the very first page of my blog. If you come down it, all of these are readable links, mind you, and then you can literally come to table of contents and it brings you here. And I literally have this broke down to headcanon posts, lore, Mysterica, physiology, religion, culture, history, Wonderland, Kumo specific. All of this about the Unlimited, Ask posts, Drabble series. This is some of the This is all one Kumo focused Wonderland drama that I don't know if I can read on Twitch and not get flagged. And then I literally also have my blog sorted by topic so that you can click any topic and it'll take you that tag through my blog and you can like search that tag. And that's also why I figured you wouldn't give a shit, because I'm also like, you also have fandom OCs, so like, for reals, people shouldn't give a shit, but I've definitely had people get shitty with me about it. But yeah, no, this is what I meant by a table of contents. And that, like, literally, from here to here is all just about Pilby, just about Kumo. And yeah, and then Theo has Kaze for the other side. So that is the thing I need to establish. Where did I lose it? Oh, see, this is Theo's blog. What did I have you looking for? I had Veer open in another tab. So that's the thing I need you to, like, get, is that literally nobody existed except for the princes. Yeah. Literally nobody existed. Just the princes. That's why when I post pictures of the princes, I don't use OC tags. Everybody else, we went crazy. And that's also the thing, too. The one episode Big Bro shows up in, they legitimately don't say their names. They only call each other brother and little brother the whole episode, so I had to go crazy. But Kaze refers to Kumo as White Cloud, so that's where the naming thing came from. Okay, I'll drink some coffee while I'm ranting before I start reading. See, I'll explain this in a minute, but Theo will be the one to get this joke. The ads aren't Suxu, they're chaos. The ads are chaos. Yeah, right? Doesn't it just feel insulting to have people be like, well, they're fandom OCs, so, and like, they don't even realize how much fucking work we've done. Like, you have to actually sit there and be like, we're gonna actually have to sit there and watch the series. It's only 25 episodes long, guys. It'll go before you know it. We normally stream for like 4 hours. Well, exactly. Yes, I know. And that's also the thing. Like, literally everything that we've written for Wonderland, excluding like the concept of Gaudium and the Lords of Gaudium, is wholly original. Like, Symphonia is a wholly original character. Silu is a wholly original character. Aurinko is a wholly original character. Like, the Mystericans are wholly original because we got fucking jack. We got barely anything, and I made an entire fucking magic system for how that shit works. Like, Theo can tell you that I have made out full-blown fucking magic systems for how this shit works. I've made out full-blown systems for how the Unlimited function. So, well, and that's the thing, even in the stuff that was released in Japan but never made it over here, didn't even touch it. They literally just were like, Mysterica existed, but it got destroyed. And that's as much as we got. And that's the same thing that happened to Windaria. Windaria existed, but it got destroyed. And that was it. That's like all we got. That their worlds once were, but they aren't anymore. So like, that aside, we're gonna read stuff today. I have like 16 fucking things open for Sudan. But that aside, so now you know. We're gonna watch this series. We're gonna watch this series. So I went through and I tried to decide what else to read today. So, I'll give you asks before I decide to crush your souls. Revon will crush souls. We will start with Sudan. I have some stuff with Sudan that is, funny, but also educational. This is also what I mean. You guys are allowed to do this in the Discord of, like, go ask them questions, because this is what we're used to. Like, this is an anonymous ask that Sudan got, and the question was, what's the worst fight you've had with your brother? We don't really get into fights. Not real ones, anyway. We play fight over things like the good blanket, or the last piece of cake, or who has to do the dishes, but we don't fight. He got mad at me once when I took the book he drunk wrote once and left the only copy of it on his orangest bestie's desk. I thought Orange Boy would get a good laugh out of it, and oh, he did. But he didn't have a clue Siulu wrote it, and proclaimed how much he loved it to everyone at dinner. I watched Siulu sink in his seat in pure mortification the whole time. We got into an argument about it, but it's hard to stay mad at each other. He knows I don't mean harm, I just have to pick, like siblings do. It all worked out in the end, though. It turned out nowhere near as bad as he thought it would. How do you feel about your brother getting awfully close to that orange thing? Are you worried? Not particularly. Symphonia is a fucking weird man. It took me a minute to figure it out, but I'm pretty sure his puff the chest out and act tough bullshit is a stage face. If Silu wears his hair down, he becomes a blathering mess that can't talk at all, chews on his own tongue all day, and his face goes bright red. I'm positive he's got a crush that my brother is far too thick to notice. I don't really know if Silu is into guys yet, but Symphonia is absolutely gay. Or maybe he's bi. I don't know. Either is fine. I'm more worried. Symphonia is always like a little bit kind of a jerk. Like Symphonia has a problem that sometimes he blushes and like he forgets what to do and he gets really nervous and then insults fall out of his mouth. And then he feels really bad about it, but then he gets embarrassed, so then he runs away. Yeah. But Symphonia is absolutely gay. Or maybe he's bi. I don't know. Either is fine. I'm more worried about this eventual breakdown when Picuveli, little brother, realizes someone has a crush on him because he doesn't do change very well, and his self-confidence is in the trash. Besides, if anything goes wrong, I'm not afraid to scare the shit out of that man by any means necessary. Okay, this one definitely had to get brought up, and this one is in reference to this. This one is in reference to Terraletti, affectionately known as Veer. This is one of Theo's babies. Theo will cry over his green bean often. There, exactly, my green bean. Do you ever actually feel safe with your brother in the house? Don't you resent your parents for bringing in someone so dangerous? Do yourself a favor and shut the fuck up. The more you talk, the higher your chances of hurting yourself get. I don't want to hear anyone talk trash about my family, not my parents or Isabelle. The fact Veer is green has jack shit to do with him being dangerous. If you want to know why Veer's dangerous, it's because he's dangerously intelligent and could ruin your life in a very well-placed word, and I'd let him too. He is a several times over published author, and I wouldn't cross him if I were you. I am tired of people treating him like garbage because of the color of his mist. He's green. Yes, I know. I am very well aware of what his mist can do, but I also know that if Veer ever got to the point of using it, he was forced to, and it was a last resort. For being a political activist and an active critique of the church, he still follows the tenets to the letter. Do not speak ill of my family again. My mist might be healing in nature, but that doesn't mean I can't and won't kick your ass. Okay, this one I also thought was important. Because this is a thing. She's legitimate about this when it comes to Mystericans. Do you also make otter sounds, or is it just that your brothers like that? Silu is largely just like that. He just makes noises. He has our whole lives. He makes them more to certain people, like me, our parents, Isaveli or Symphonia, the people he feels safe with. He'll make them to our cobines, too. He's always been noises over full-on speaking since we were born, but it doesn't mean he can't talk your ear off. He just needs to be on a certain subject and with certain people. Ask him to tell you all of Sinfonia's pleasant orange features, and then expect to be there a while. But I make noises too. All Mystericans do. I am much the same in the aspect of with certain people over certain things. I am much more reserved about it than he is, but we've always been opposites. That's just how we are. What's something that's guaranteed to make you angry? You want to know how to make me angry? I mean, I'll tell you, but it's pretty obvious, and if you cross me, you'll pay for it. You see that goofy looking blue thing over there? There, acting like a clown with Symphonia, she says, making a motion to her very blue twin brother. Fuck with him and I'll wreck your fucking life. That's my Picoveli, and only me and Veer have the right to mess with him. Silu can hold his own, but you want a fast way to piss me off? Fuck with my family and see what it earns you. I might be a dancer, but I'm also not someone you want to piss off. Be nice to my brother, or else. Mind you, she consistently calls him little brother because it pisses him off. They're fucking twins. She's just 7 minutes older than him, and she will not let him forget it. She hangs it over his head to the end of their days. Oh yeah, this one was important. Look, do you see how old this shit is? How do you feel about comparisons, specifically of yourself and others? Don't, she starts plainly with a smile stretched out on her lips. I know this is about me and Silu, and I don't care for it. Just because we're twins, sees everyone sees to it to compare us Paris constantly. We have the same face and the same mist, and we're in sync. And I know my brother better than anyone, but we are two different people. He's like my other half, but we still can be very different. He's a clown, but in that make people feel better sort of way. I'm more serious and calculated, where Silu just loves to ride the breeze without a care in the world. He operates on emotion more than I do, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just what makes us who we are. I couldn't play the cello to make anything sound like music to save my life, but he would trip over his own feet if you asked him to dance. Really, he's actually not that bad at dancing. He'd be fine if he just practiced, but it's just not where his passion lies, and that's okay. It's just like all this comparison, and we have to shut down on the daily between Uzva and Pilvi. They are different, yes, but that doesn't make either of one of them bad. It's causing far too many fights between the little guys, and it's exhausting. I can only imagine how exhausting it is for them if it's exhausting for us. They're just kids, royal kids, but kids nonetheless. So maybe instead of wasting your time comparing people to each other, learn to value them for who they are and what they bring to the table. After all of us have the ability to pluck our mist, but not all of us can do it, and that's okay. All mist's vibrations are different because no two colors are ever exactly the same, and we need to value that. Oh, cool, we moved to Arinko. We need this one. Okay. Fear, you have to stay because I will talk about you in a minute. I need this. Okay. The way this meme works is this emoji plus a name, and that character has to tell you how they feel about that person. Um, no, I have that one that you sent me pulled up. Um, so we've moved to Orinko, Papa-san. Um, so basically he was asked, how do you feel about Tyvis? So, Tyvis. The smile that crosses the sun lips is wide and large as his gaze sparkles at the prospect of speaking about such a man. Synonym Tyvis is the lead of our military and one of the most gifted and capable men I have ever met. I have known him my entire life and I have watched him climb the ranks with my own eyes. He is our Kenrali, that means general, but he is also one of my soul binds. He is my prime bind, and I have been in his care since I was quite small. He's a quiet but serious man, very caring, and he loves with his own heart. He's tired most days, but will not pause in his duties unless I do. I respect the man greatly. He practically raised me and my Picuvele's little brother, Symphonia. We were with him at near all times when we were just tots. Tyvis is like a father to me, and mine, well, he died when I was still a boy. Tyvis and Sumu were all I had for guidance because mother died a few years before him, even though they were quite young for Mystericans. Tyvis stepped in, as he always does, and helped raise me. My binds became my advisors overnight, and it was a transition for all of us, but Tyvis led the charge. If it wasn't for him, I never would have had the confidence to secure the ceasefire. Ronas is a terrifying and crude woman, and I have hated every interaction with her that I am forced to have. I hate the way she talks to me, and I hate the way she talks of my people, and I hate the way she speaks to Tyvis. Tyvis is someone I am going to grieve greatly when he finally fades. I don't know what I'm going to do without him. This one I had to hunt for because it is old, but it's important. Um, Arinko got asked, um, Orenko got asked, is it better to be loved or to be feared? Respected. The man sounds in a commanding tone, unwavering in his answer. If you want me to choose between the two, my answer is respected. However, I would rather be loved by my people than feared by them. We would accomplish nothing if I ruled the kingdom in a way that sparked fear in the hearts of my people. It is my oath to serve them, and I do right by my people of this world. I swore this to them on the day I danced those ritual steps, and I will hold it until my dying breath. Between myself and the shopkeeper at the center of town, there is no difference. We both have our roles to play on this stage that makes the kingdom. We both are just as important. My people mean everything to me, and it is by their grace that I hold the position I do and wield the power they allow me. They made me their king, and as such, I will show them the respect they deserve. I think it is better to be respected because there's no respect when you're cowering under the power of fear. My love for my people is the reason I fought so hard for the Wind Mist ceasefire to be put in place, and the reason I fight so hard to keep it there. I would much rather be loved by my kingdom because the feeling is mutual. Okay. This one is excessively important. Would you ever Oh, you got hit again. Cool, it's fine before I start reading. It's fine. I should actually bring some reference up before I do this one. It'll make it hit a little harder. I'm not going to talk about Tyvus again. I'm telling you guys, I'll explain to you chaos in a minute. It's fucking chaos. I also feel like if I translate, I could get Lemon to cling to Shoki a little more. Don't curse yourself. Don't summon them. Okay. I pulled these two up because they are Lorenko's parents. He's gonna talk about his parents. So they are Lorenko's parents. Would you ever forgive someone if they killed or permanently hurt a family member? Becoming disabled, losing a limb, etc. Firstly, stranger, it's possible to become disabled at any time, whether someone injured my family member or not. Secondly, you are obviously unaware of this, but both my mother and father were killed. I refuse to believe otherwise. They died far too young for it to be some random illness. Citrini agrees with me. There's no way that mother suddenly couldn't speak and then passed out of nowhere for it to just be because she got sick. The same with father, and it was only 3 years apart from each other. That's too strange for it to just be a coincidence. I'm convinced someone had to have done something. We were still at war at the time, so I would have no way to prove it. But with the way that we all fade out when we die, I don't have any way to prove what I'm saying, but Picovele agrees with me. It's just too weird. If I ever find out who killed my parents, no, I won't forgive them. Why would I? They took my mother and father from me. They took my son's grandparents. They took Citrini's uncle and aunt. Why would I ever forgive them for that? I also need you to, look. He died when he was 50. She died when she was 44. Mystericans can live to 150. That's why he said way too young. They can live to being 150. we're gonna move into Sparkle Dad, because Sparkle Dad was requested. Oh, I did close Tyvis, but you saw Tyvis. Um, Sparkle Dad, Revon also got asked for his opinion about Tyvis, and he goes through some like hierarchy nonsense that I need you guys to like understand. Raleigh Tyvis is a good man, probably one of the best of us, and I have great respect for him. I did before I became a bind, and now that I work so closely with him, I would consider him close family, and in a way he is. There is a hierarchy within the space of the military, but there is a much smaller, more intimate one within the space of the primes. Primes are the first soulbind assigned to every member of the royal family. So currently there are 4 of us. Crystali is a bit complicated on that front, because while she is prime, she is also singular, as she is Lady Ku's only bind. She doesn't have any co-binds beneath her. As primes, we're in charge of the well-being of our liege, but we're also in charge of our co-binds. For example, if Silu has a problem, he would report to me. Symphonia would report to Sephirin, and Tuli would report to Tyvis. Advisor-teacher binds report to their respective prime first and foremost. It gets a little complicated because the hierarchy of the primes, you would think, would be Tyvis, then Crystali, then Sephirin, and then me, as I am prime to the youngest son. But it's not. It's actually Tyvis, then me, then Sephirin, then Crystali. Crystali has no reports, so our reports would go to her last. Tyvis bound when Orinko was just a boy, so he is the highest of the primes. I bound to Pilvi when he was an infant, so I'm next in line. And Sephirin bound when Uzva was 7, so then she comes in line. So say Symphonia, for example, is having a problem that Sephirin can't solve. He's supposed to come to me with it. If I can't solve it, I'm supposed to go to Tyvis. He's supposed to go to Tyvis, or I can bring it to Tyvis myself. We're all bound in a way as primes. Never did I think I would get to work with Kenreli Tyvis so closely. I have got to know him on a much more personal level, and I have seen the look in his eyes when he looks at Orinko and Symphonia. He gets a softness in his eyes when he looks at them. He gets the same softness when he looks at Pilvi and Uzva, too. He'll let the boys climb all over him, ever since they were small, and I've seen him carry both His Majesty and Symphonia when they were tired or feeling ill. I know he feels for them the same way I feel for Pilvi and Uzva. We're family, and I care quite deeply for him. When I lost my family to the war, I was prepared to be alone for the rest of my days, but I found myself in the palace thanks to him, and in turn with a family I never thought I'd ever have. So for that, I am eternally grateful. We're on Sparkle Dad. Okay, these are this meme is invasive questions. The point of the meme is they're supposed to rate how invasive it is and then answer the question. So when he starts with a 5, he's telling you how invasive it is. He thinks it's kind of invasive, but not super invasive. What is something you wish you could change about yourself? A 5. It's not something I wish to discuss, but will do so regardless. It's not something I wish to speak into the world, but if I must choose, I wish I wasn't so dangerous. Even if I don't wish it, I cannot remove my mask in the presence of most people. I could kill them so easily on accident. There was a time when Pilvi was still small and I became quite ill. We are always together, you see, and I couldn't risk him being near when I'm sick because I need to remove my mask. So I was dangerous for anyone to be around me unmasked, and I didn't want to risk him, masked or not. Well, long story short, Pilvi does not like being apart from me. He gets quite upset, always has, and probably always will. He fought with the knight that was taking my place at the time and snuck away to my room. I woke to him, curled up in a ball on the pillow next to mine, sleeping and purring away. But yet he was maskless, and of course I panicked. I shook the boy awake, and the mist didn't seem to do anything. I knew he was immune to other colors, but I was always too scared to test my own, even when he'd asked me to. The risk was too great. I remember getting out of bed, half dressed, running down the hall to Lamidus's office, scared for his life just to make sure he was okay, and if there was something that could be done before the effects of my mist kicked in. But due to my bright hue, it should have been instant. It should have it dazed him due to the yellow lean of my tone, but nothing. It was as if he'd never inhaled any of my mist at all. That's how we learned that he was immune to all mist effects. But my point with this is, because of this, that boy has taught me to love myself despite anything I wish I could change. My mist makes life a little lonely sometimes, but through it all, I will always have my leash, my Volkoinen. Even if my mist is isolating, I have him. I don't need that one. Veer. We need to pull back. We did Sedan, Saponia, we did Arinko. Follow didn't get talked about. Silu, we're fine. Those will come up in a minute. We're back to Veer. Okay, so we're back to Terraletti. Terraletti is talking. This is Theo's writing. He got asked about his opinion about the mist mask mandate within the space of the Bisterican culture, government, whatever. It's legitimately law that they must wear a mask unless it's necessary for them to take it off. That's why I draw them with masks on. They must wear that mask. That mask has a two-way filter in it. It makes it so that when they breathe out, the mist that they're breathing out never makes it into the air. And it also has a filter so that when they breathe in, anything that is like harmful particles or dirt or smoke or anything that could harm their lungs, since their lungs are pressurized, it stops that. So basically it keeps their lungs safe, but it stops their mist from getting into the air. So it's law that they must be wearing a mask unless it's necessary to take it off. So that's what the mask mandate is. Terraletti got asked about that. What an interesting thing to be asked. He knows it's one of those things that everyone generally tends to feel roughly the same about. But at the same time, it's a necessary evil, he states. On the surface, just first glance, it's great, right? Everyone wears a mask, nobody gets any unwanted or deadly mist effects. Keeps our lungs a little safer too. But then, if you look at it a little more, it's really easy to use this to rally the idea of superiority or inferiority. Amber eyes look directly into the stranger's arms folding over the man's chest. We have a tendency that if the ask was anonymous, we'll just refer to them as a stranger. Um, it's a real problem in that it pushes those with pink or green or brown mist in, into a crowd of being less than. But we're not. We're not inherently dangerous either, because we're taught from the time we're kids that we don't need to let anyone breathe in our mist. That's where the mandate is a good thing and a necessary thing. Because my breath will absolutely kill or harm, but it doesn't end there, does it? No. It's a bigger issue than that, because Mystericans of those hues face things like outcasting, bullying, hatred. We're raised to hate ourselves in order to protect others. Really, though, that mandate and the Mysterican principle of not taking lives would be enough on their own, but instead of just leaving it the way it is, he shakes his head, sighing audibly as his eyes cast down. I mean, if you need a personal experience, I can't think of one person who was kind to me before I was 6 years old. 6. I got avoided by classmates and staff, and even some teachers at school. We've got to stop and ask ourselves as Mystericans whether we all actually feel a sense of equality to each other. The mandate is important. It can't go anywhere. But it shouldn't be used like it is, either. I also want to point out, this. Terraletti has a scar on his face because his father gave him that. Terraletti lives with Silu's family because his mother is, his mother and father are yellow and blue, so then when their mixed to make a child, it became green. They decided they hated their son and abused the living fucking shit out of him. We generally refer to Veer's parents as Veer's parents suck. And Silu and Sudan's parents, Sipi and Sade, they are Theo's muses. Theo writes the entire family except Sudan. The parents stepped the fuck in and basically went, "You don't want him, fine, we do." Because he was besties with Silu and Sudan. And they stepped the fuck in, and CP and Sade were like, "Fine, fuck you, we'll take him." Yeah, that scar he got from his father. And he got it because he's green. Okay, I also dug around, and I found more things that cover this whole fucking mess, but I kept trying to figure out where to stick them in the timeline. And I figured they were important, but they were things that I know we haven't written super far on yet. But maybe we'll finally remember to get to it, but it's other things I do need you to be aware of. Yeah, I know. I will get up Petals in the Sunlight in a minute. This one, this story is called Lie It All Away. Well, okay, we're drinking coffee. We'll say, I also thought about Lemon and Indigo. I also thought about dragging that up. But we haven't gotten very far in that one either, and I think that's my fault. I think Lemon and Indigo is mine that I need to do. But I just love them. They're precious to me. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so this story is I was drinking coffee. This story is before I'll drink the rest of my coffee if you really want me to. This story is before Sky's Call. So, Silu and Symphonia are not dating. Silu and Symphonia are, like, kind of friends. And Symphonia has not got super sick yet. If that gives you, like, where the timeline is. I don't think we've gotten far enough to have Tulta get pissed yet, because Tulta should be getting pissed in this thread, too. Okay. So this is Symphonia's point of view. They got in another fight again. He doesn't know why, he just can't get this right. 1 minute they're fine, the next minute there are insults falling out of his mouth faster than he can recall them to come back. 2 weeks ago, he was stopping by Silu's classroom to have a talk about a piece the younger was working on for some tips and suggestions and a second set of ears to listen to after the man of blue had heard it probably 1,000 times already. 2 weeks ago, they were having midday meal together and exchanging food while they worked over grading together. 2 weeks ago, if you gotta take out the best boy, that's fine. 2 weeks ago, they were fine. Today was 2 weeks ago, and it was another visit from people he didn't want to see. He doesn't know how he's supposed to hide it this time. Suksu was furious they were talking, so he didn't dare tell her that he thought of Silu as his friend. Suksu was once again on a tirade to make a point that had ended with Likey shoving him so hard that he crashed into the bookcase that he kept more than books on, and then thrown towards the ground in front of his couch, which only caused him to collide into his coffee table with his face. He barely remembers scraping himself off of the floor. He hardly remembers passing out, but he must have from the size of this mark on his face. He doesn't think any amount of makeup is going to be enough to cover this up. He can't call out tomorrow. People might worry. He's wincing through gritted teeth as he stares in his bathroom mirror, trying to figure out how he wants to handle this mess. The mark on his face and the blooming bruises of deep purple forming down his chest. It's hard to breathe. He can't sleep it off. And he can sleep it off. He just needs... Hands are shaking as they struggle to twist the cap off of the translucent orange bottle in his hands so he can shake a couple of pills he's been prescribed to deal with his usual pains. Something has to work. Something has to numb this out. He doesn't know how to explain it this time. He doesn't know how to lie it all away. Likey and that fucking bitch really did a number on him, and it's hard to breathe. It's hard to breathe. He was fine this morning, just plagued with insults falling from his lips when he couldn't focus on anything Ilu was saying past the pain. He snapped at him when the other musician hadn't really done anything wrong. He can't think when he's in this much pain. He doesn't think he can lie it all away again. So he's pulling out his phone and scrolling until he finds the right number. I need you to know that we write out how the texts are. It's literally just an orange emoji, and that Silu is kept in his phone, not by a name, but it's just a blue heart and a sparkle. That's what is Silu's contact in his phone. A blue heart and a sparkle. Sorry to bother you so late, but would it be possible for you to take Uzva in the morning? I'm not feeling well. I apologize for earlier. I shouldn't have snapped at you when I'm sick. That was rude of me. I apologize, Silu. You didn't do anything wrong. It's me. Maybe now he can lay down and get some sleep. Silu's point of view. Today was shit. Again. He keeps replaying the interaction on loop in his brain. He can hear Symphonia blow up at him, and he keeps wondering what he did wrong. He keeps wondering why Symphonia hates him. He hadn't done anything, he thinks. It's not like he's not used to it. But even if he is accustomed to people being cruel for seemingly no reason, it honestly hurts more coming from Symphonia. He's purring softly into the darkness of Sedan's room to try and calm himself down, a pillow clutched tightly in his arms when his phone chimes. He barely wants to look at it, but he's awake anyway, so he might as well. It's from the very orange musician he's stressing about, and despite the fact he wants to say it's not fine and his feelings keep getting hurt, he lies anyway. Symphonia's contact in Silu's phone is the sparkle emoji, two of them surrounding an orange. Just so you know. It's fine. I'll take him. Feel better soon. Do you want soup? Maybe soup will fix it. Maybe if he brings soup and is quiet and polite, they won't argue. The arguing can wait for Symphonia to be over whatever he caught. His phone buzzes faster than he expects it. Exit 2, and Silu is telling him it is fine and to feel better, and he's asking if he wants soup. Soup would be great. It takes several moments before the musician is staring at the message in abject horror, wishing he could unsend it. If Silu makes him soup, then he will have to eat it, and that means Silu will have to see him with his mask off, and then he will see this fucking mark on his face, and that means he'll find out. Soup always fixes toxic situationships. It's okay, I'll take a break for a minute. Hold on, and I will drink some coffee. We didn't get much of this thread written anyways. The toxic part is Suksu and Likey. I'll say, hold on, I'll give you guys another visual. Now that you're getting into the Suksu Likey nonsense, it's especially pertains to this thread and others. Because I gave you the really bad one of Symphonia and Suksu yesterday. See, you're fine. I paused for you. I'll give you this other picture. This picture is, its title is, Hated You From Hello. That's a song title, but it fits. Where is that fucking picture? There it is. This also got drawn, just so you guys know. That's what this visual is. Now that you're into the Suksu Likey Symphonia situation, that's what this is. Yeah, this one's called Hated You From Hello. Okay, his phone buzzes faster than he expects it to, and Silu is telling him it is fine, and to feel better, and asking if he wants soup. Soup would be great. It takes several moments before the musician is staring at the message in abject horror, wishing he could unsend it. If Silu makes him soup, then he will have to eat it, and that means Silu will see him with his mask off, and then he will see this fucking mark on his face, and that means he'll find out. He's panicking, and he doesn't know what to do. He's panicking, and he only lets out a frustrated whine when his phone slips out of his hand and falls to the floor. P2 means fuck. He hisses aloud as he's lowering himself to the floor, only for his chest to scream in pain, and soon he finds himself collapsed to the floor entirely. He can't get up. Fuck. The fuck did Likey do? Tears are welling up in his eyes as he lays there. Maybe he'll just have to sleep on the floor then, and then he'll crawl himself into bed when he's not in so much fucking pain. Soup would be great, this is Silu's point of view. He can do soup. He can do soup right now, as a matter of fact. Careful not to wake Sudan, he slides out of the nest and down the hall to their small kitchen. On Suksu's command, Likey beat the shit out of him again. Beat the shit out of him, threw him into a bookshelf, and then hit him so hard that he fell to the ground and he hit his coffee table with his face, and then passed out. Symphonia's fucked up. So Silu's point of view. Soup would be great. He could do soup. He can do soup right now, as a matter of fact. Careful not to wake Sudan, he slides out of the nest and down the hall to their small kitchen. If it hadn't even seemed small until they'd seen the palace, but somehow the size just adds to the charm for him. Or maybe their kitchen is normal sized and the palace kitchens are just huge. That's what it really seems like. Once the ingredients are out on the corner, he fires off the last text before he rolls up his sleeves to start cooking. Give me like 2 hours. He's going to make the best soup he's ever made in his life, and he's going to ignore the fact that it's probably a bad idea to take it all the way out to the palace at this hour. Kitty boy needs soup. It doesn't even take that long to make. He's just giving himself a time buffer, just in case. Cooking is one of Silu's love languages, by the way. It just so happens that Symphonia loves to eat. Symphonia's point of view. I feel like we should tell them about one of Silu's missions of Mission Fat and Happy. Ever since the Sky's Call incident and he picked Symphonia up and realized there was no fucking weight there, one of Silu's life goals became make him a fat and happy house cat. Exactly. Like, it became his mission to make him not weigh like a toothpick. So, like, he just leaves food for him all the fucking time. His phone is buzzing again, and it's all he can do to lay there on the floor and read the little glowing text of "Give me 2 hours." Great! That means he had 2 hours to figure out how to get his ass up off the floor and back in bed before Silu showed up. And then he had to come up with some bullshit, but yet believable excuse as to why he didn't want to eat in front of him when he already crushed his heart once today by being an asshole. He's in too much pain to move. He's stuck there, and he doesn't feel like explaining this to Silu, or worse, Kumiseta, or Mother. If Isaveli saw this mark on his face, he'd lose his mind, and so would the rest of his family. That's why he skipped breakfast, ate by himself, and stayed to himself as he tried to avoid everyone to the best of his ability. But Silu just wouldn't leave him alone today. He just snapped on him in all the pain he'd been in. He almost wishes that the younger hadn't bought his bullshit of apology of feeling under the weather and called him out for lying. He was so sick of the lying. He was so sick of the lying and the hiding and the living every day of his life being afraid of what would happen if he slipped up in his own house. He's gritting his teeth together as he tries to force himself to sit up, but the pain in his chest flares to life worse than it already had been, and he finds tears burning in his eyes, even as they clench shut from the pain. Sulu is going to be here before he knows, and he can't let him find him on the floor. He isn't sure how he can come up with a convincing excuse for this. He did fall out of bed. Maybe he would believe him if he told him only part of the truth. He's still going to ask about the fucking mark on his face, though. Hold on, I need to see whose turn that one is. Yours. That's where that one stops. That one's yours. And all this is happening before Sky's Call. I'm gonna tell you outright what's going on. Like, he hit him so fucking hard, his ribs are broken. Like, he fucked him up so bad, his ribs are broken. So there's that going on. But that will continue when I have more. Speaking of Likey, this is, speaking of Likey, oh, I also really should make this clear, because I don't think I have yet. Likey is Symphonia's doctor. Like, Likey handles all of Symphonia's medical. So, like, that's also the problem, that, like, nobody deals with any of his that's why Tulta hates him so much. That's why Tulta's so pissed. Hold on, we'll bring up the picture again, and I'll explain things, because things will, like, hit a little more. Oh, absolutely. I literally have a picture of those two drawn, and that's the title, Medical Malpractice. I literally have a picture titled Medical Malpractice. Because he's actually, that'll come up in this one. Hold on, I gotta find pictures anyways. That one. And that one. And that one. Cool. I will answer the question in the next thing I'm about to read to you, because Symphonia and Likey will talk about it face to face. The thing, Symphonia and Likey are literally about to have that discussion. But I need to make this more make sense. I talk about the concept of soulbinds and primes and etc. so forth. It's a soulbind is a life oath made to a royal. So it is a Mysterican mixing their mist, mixing their soul with that of a royal to become in service to that royal. That is what a soulbind is. They're binding their souls to that royal. Like Reverend explained, a prime is the very first one that happens. It's always a knight. And then that person, that knight, the prime, basically becomes bodyguard and caretaker. The rest of them are considered teacher royal binds, and then when that royal would take the throne, they would become their advisors. That's what's going on over here, because you have Lorinko, and all of them are bound to him. Tyvis is his prime. Lamedus is his medical teacher / doctor. I'm explaining the doctor part. The way this works is now you have like this little society, this little group of people, because you're bound to one royal. Whoever is the doctor of that group becomes acting doctor to the entire group. So that means Lamedus is in charge of all of them. So that means Paulo is medical in Pilvy's group, she is doctor to the entire group. When they need medical, they go to Paulo. She is their acting doctor. Vikey is medical of Uzma's group. So he is acting medical professional to the entire group. So that means he's Symphonia's doctor. He's the one who's in charge of Symphonia's medical. Which is bad because Symphonia's medical is extremely fragile. And it's always been like that. Lamidas was in charge of him ahead when he was a kid. But now that this has occurred and he's bound, he has Likey as his doctor. And Likey has basically taken over what was set in place and fucked it all to hell. Absolutely. He's fucked it all to hell. That's why, like Tulta said in Sky's Call, that he changes his medication constantly. And, like, Tulta fucking hates him because he just can't keep anything ironed down. That also needed to be explained for this, because this is Symphonia and Likey. This is, like, a conversation between the two of them. It's before Sky's Call. It's kind of just floating in the middle. He's friends with Silu, but they're not courting yet. It's Symphonia's point of view. They can't stand each other, and he's pretty sure they both know it. He's pretty sure it's for entirely different reasons, and only one of them has legit ones. Look, he starts bluntly as he steps into the doctor's office and closes the door behind him. I'm only here for my appointment, so don't fuck with me. I'm not in the mood today, Likey. Today already sucks. He doesn't need to see the way the taller man's lips tongue down into a frown as he scolds him to know he's doing it. He knows how to read body language. The other man's mask isn't going to prevent him from doing so. Symphonia, just sit down, he practically orders. No, I'm making the goddamn rules today, so fucking listen to me for once. I'm already aware of the fact you hate me, so just set that shit up to the side and be a real doctor for once. You hate me too, Symphonia, so I guess that makes two of us. Yeah, but I have a legitimate reason. Yours is bullshit. His lips curve upward into an overconfident smile as his left hand comes down to rest on his hip. And what, pray tell, is my reason for hating you so much? He asks in a coy tone, as if completely convinced that the musician won't provide the correct answer. You're in love with Suxu, and you think I'm in the way. There is a low groan as Violet eyes roll for a moment before they continue to scowl at him. So then how is my reason not legitimate? You are in my way. No, I'm not, dipshit. I hate her probably as much as I hate you. I want literally nothing to do with her, and quite frankly wish she would never talk to me ever again. Besides, all that to the side, I am literally gay, and I don't find any woman attractive. Greenbrow's raised with curiosity as his expression softens and Violet eyes blink twice as they stare. You're gay, queer, I find men attractive, not her, not you either, so don't get ahead of yourself. I literally would not step in your way even if I didn't think you were a giant piece of shit. I have my eye on one man and one man only, so I really wish you'd both just leave me alone. He's groaning as he listens to the symphony rant on for a moment before he crosses his arms and growls all over again. So then your reason for hating me is? Are you serious? You fucking punched me, asshole. You literally beat me within an inch of my fucking life because your crush told you to. If you'd never put your fucking hands on me, we'd be square. But instead, you're a spineless pawn getting played by that viper, so no, I hate your ass too. There is a heavy sigh from the older man as his shoulders drop. Just sit on the table, Symphonia, so I can check you over and be done with this. Are you going to stick me with a fucking needle today? Not if I don't need to, and I will count you down if I have to. You'll count me down? Yo, now sit. Maybe today they can hate each other, but also find some kind of pause in the fighting. Guess Helicon isn't the only brother that can cause a ceasefire. That's why. That's why. Symphonia just laid it the fuck out for you. That's why. Yeah, this one's fucking important. Okay. We don't need this. I'm gonna need you, but I need the asshole. Because we need to get into him. Okay. So we're gonna get into, the asshole of assholes. He's also horrible. Also horrible, but in a different kind of way. Um, this thread is called Silver Tongue Symphony. And it's also in progress. But, it's important. And it takes place while they're courting. But he hasn't been told to end it yet. Okay, so it's Symphonia's point of view. The way his face lights when he steps into the room is as unsettling as it always is, and it's more that this man has always been a little too close for them for comfort to allow that look to do anything short of making his skin crawl. He was far too close to Helicon, and he was far too close to Seta Hippipu and Tati Hieka, aunt and uncle, Orinko's parents. Way too close, and he still holds beliefs to this day that he had something to do with it. But that's not why he's here, and that's something he just remains quiet about to this day. No one listens to them. No one listened to them then, and no one would listen to them now. Citrini, to what pleasure do I owe your appearance? And he can't say he likes the tone in his voice. It's far too familiar, and he has always hated it when he used his first name. He never gave him permission to do that, and quite frankly, he doesn't give a damn about his station. It doesn't absolve him of the very basic cultural rules. Pilvi, that's what. It's a half snarl from the symphony as he stops before the preacher's desk with one hand on his hip as he glares forward. What about the prince? You don't seem very happy. Why would I be happy to hear about how you've been treating my nephew? Do not forget, he's more like a first cousin once removed. You know you and Orinko aren't actually brothers. Don't be silly now, Citrini. The growl that rumbles up from the back of his throat is entirely involuntary, and he just finds himself doing it as his arms raise to cross over his chest. Pissing me off from the start isn't a good way to take this, Sumu. He watches as the silver fog straightens his back in his chair and motions to the one in front of his desk. Forgive me. I know how close you and His Majesty are. Sit down. Tell me what's on your mind. Selu said that he can't handle this himself, implying that you banned a royal soulbind from the church. He said that the way you treat Pilvi is horrible and that you've been rude to his prime. You know you can't ban a royal soulbind from entering the church of all places, right? Sit back. Relax. It's story time. Well, His Majesty has asked that I do not enter the palace unannounced. I can ask the same of a soulbind, can't I? One, that's entirely different. You got banned from the palace because you spoke out of line about Seta and Tati. Two, you can't stop a soulbind from bringing you issues and concerns to their liege. Shouldn't he be processing them through Tulit first anyways? That's Revon. He can't process anything through Revon if part of concerns are about Revon. Silu said you were being colorist to him, and I swear that better not have been the case. There is a sigh from the older man as he listens, and then folds his hands in front of himself with his head drooping ever so slightly. I understand you're upset, Citrini, but you have always been one with a fiery temper, ever since you were a boy. Take a deep breath for a moment, so we can have some tea and talk this out like men. If you're all riled up, we're never going to understand each other. He finds himself half leaning forward in the chair he was sitting in to growl a little at the mention of his own anger before he's sitting back and taking in a deep breath. He watches as the elder man calls for one of his attendants and asks for some star-flower tea to be brought for them. It's your favorite, right? He asks, and he swears there is a smile behind his mask as he watches deep blue eyes soften. You and Silu were close, right? Good friends? I don't know him very well, since I'm not at the palace every day, but there has to be a reason His Majesty picked him to teach the prince, isn't there? What do you think? And it feels like a trap. It feels like a trap to bring down his walls, and he hates how fast it works. Silu is the fastest way to ease his anger, and he can't just bring himself to hold it on any kind of flame when he lets that man's waters surround him. He can already feel the blush creeping into his cheeks when he thinks about him. Please go eat dinner. The VOD will be there. He was just trying to see how many animal-shaped erasers he could balance on his nose this morning. And even if everyone else would see him as a clown, he knows better. He has always found his silly little antics endearing. Friends, yo. He's my best friend. He starts as he finds his hands lacing together to have his fingers push and pull at them while he thinks of blue. While he lets his whole mind fill to the brim with the color. We're courting. Oh, I see. It's quite serious then. I had no idea. Tell me about him. He's brilliant, dangerously intelligent, like Valo is, but in other ways. He's silly and fun and a bit of a clown. He knows how to make me laugh, and I love his jokes. He's the most brilliant musician I've ever met. Truly. He's been blessed by Lord Haya. He plays cello, and his voice, there's a dreamy sigh as he pauses. He sounds just like a Miss Dragon when he sings. I see. He sounds like quite the catch. And there are eyes on him, practically watching his hand as he reaches for the cup of tea that was set down in front of him. He's bringing it to his lips, and he can't deny how good it tastes. There is a small hum of contentment as he takes a sip. It's sweetened with just a bit too much sugar, just the way he's always liked it when it makes the whole cup transform into some kind of liquid candy. It would be a waste to just let it sit there. It would be a waste to not drink it all. So there is a second drink, and a third, and he soon finds himself relaxing from the heat of it all. His phone is ringing. He doesn't know why. It's past his hour. He doesn't have anywhere to be today. He's sliding it out of his pocket to see Kumiseta's number bright on the screen, but as he moves to answer it, it can wait, can't it, Citrini? I think what we're talking about is much more important, and I never get to see you. Things have been going well for you, then, the elder man asks, smiling, as he watches the symphony merely turn his phone over and place it face down on the desk in front of him. Yo, He pauses for a moment as he tries to think. His head is a bit fuzzy. Okay, coffee time. We wait. Lemon's just getting lemon. You subbed, so like it doesn't go after you anymore. It goes after Lemon constantly. It's okay. It means my coffee doesn't go cold anymore. And while we're just sitting here, I need you guys to pay attention to what it says for ability on Sumu's profile. Because that's important. Kind of stupid important. Yeah. It's fucking charm. He doesn't even have to. He just has to exhale. But you're on the right track. You're on the right track. Why was I sacrificed for everyone's safety? I did not volunteer for this. You have been singled out by the gods. Okay, cool. So, because Artemis figured it out, I will point out that the powers of, you know how I've told you that Mystericans, when they exhale their mist, and then that mist casts a spell upon exhale. The power of Silver Mist is charm. And, Sumu has Symphonia drinking tea. So the power of his mist is to cast a charm spell. He's sliding it out of his pocket to see Kumiseta's number bright on the screen. But as he moves to answer it, it can wait, can't it, Citrini? I think we're talking about it. What we're talking about is much more important, and I never get to see you. I think things have been going well for you then, the Elderman asks, smiling as he watches the symphony merely turn his phone over and place it face down on the desk in front of him. He pauses for a moment as he tries to think. His head is a bit fuzzy, and he's trying to remember what they were talking about. Silu wasn't. He hates the church. He wouldn't want to come here. Oh? Why's that? What has he said? And he doesn't know if he likes the tone of the other's voice, so he takes a moment to drink more of his tea in hopes it will clear his head so he can think a little bit better. He thinks you're an idiot. He hates you. All of Bilby Spines do. They hate how you treat him. He's pausing again to take another drink of his tea as he shakes his head in hopes it will help him think. I'm sure they don't understand. The boy tends to over-exaggerate. You know that as well as I do. You're right. He can get really wound up for no reason. Who called you? Oh, Kumiseta. He can wait. It's not like he's your actual father. We should talk more about Silu. Don't you think you deserve someone a little better? Who doesn't hate the church? He doesn't hate the church. He hates you. I see. That's almost the same thing, though, isn't it? He's taking a few more drinks of his tea to clear his head, but it's getting hard to focus. He finds himself rubbing his eyes, trying to see if it will help clear everything up. Eh, what were you saying? That you're going to find someone much better for you than Silu. You should have you shouldn't have someone so negative around you, Citrini. You should be focused on your work. Really? That doesn't seem quite right. My dear boy, I think you're confused. Perhaps you need a moment to rest. You should go back to the palace and get some sleep, Citrini. I'll see you soon. Okay? He's nodding, but it feels weird to stand, and even weirder walking. Everything is wobbly and unsteady, and flying is a beast to accomplish right now. He feels like he's almost forgotten how to do it. And right when he feels himself wobble in the sky, strong arms are steadying him, only to scoop him up entirely and carry him back to the palace himself. I've got you, kiddo. The voice comes, and he knows the deep rumble of the shadow's voice when he hears it. Vario. For now, it's safe. Vario will put him to bed, he's sure. He can sleep until they get back home. Tolta's point of view. His day begins normally. Everything the same as it usually is, save for one small irritant. There's just something off about the air. Mind you, there's going to be stuff in here where Revan and Sephirin and Vario come up, but we pre-planned that, and Theo knew that I told him what to write. There's just been something off about the air, something about to happen, a disaster of some kind about to unfold. He knows too well the staticky way the atmosphere feels when shit's about to go horribly wrong. Satruna used to tease him about his odd sixth sense of his, yet no one could deny the uncanny accuracy it had. A bad feeling is more than a bad feeling, at least to Tulta. Context, Satruna is Shoki's first name. Satruna Shoki is his whole name. You will probably feel some kind of bond with him when I tell you what his name translates to. His name translates to Lemon Shock. That's the name of Symphonia's dad. His name is Lemon Shock. Satruna means lemon. That's why we refer to him as Lemon Dad. A bad feeling is usually a correct feeling, and lately, he's immediately my favorite. Here, I'll give him to you. Where's Shoki? There's Lemon Boy. There's Lemon Boy. Oh, I also should point out something about Tulta's design. There's a hair clip that's shaped like a lemon that lives in Tulta's hair because it's made from Shoki's mist. It's a soul gem that he made for him from his mist. So the hair clip in Tulta's hair is a lemon. Because it's a gift from his bestie. Made from his bestie's mist. And lately, a bad feeling was almost always related to either Citrini or Yoki. With no news from any of the medics stationed outside the palace, it once again looks like it'll be either one of the two. Displeasing, of course, but he can handle that far more easily than a mudslide or a flood or some other massive tragic event. Not much changes in the day-to-day operations in the palace, including which patients have persistent issues. Not since the ceasefire was called years ago. There are alarmingly few people who have seemed to realize that it's not an end, it's a pause. he isn't privy to the exact details of their agreement with Windaria. So, as far as he's concerned, the war could restart at any moment. He honestly hopes it is one person's medical issue rather than something political. There are just some images burned into the backs of his eyelids that he'd rather not relive more than he has to. With a deep breath to steel himself, he rises from his chair to head down the hall towards Orinko's office. If Tyvis is calm, that's one less thing to worry about. Oh, and one more thing he can cross off his list in his quest to figure out what's wrong. A peek around the corner tells him all he needs to know. Tyvis is at his post with a steaming mug in his hand and not an ounce of concern evident on his face. Good. No blade drawn, no issue. Perhaps Yoki is out of bed when he shouldn't be again, and then that's all this is. Hold on. Let me find the old man. This is Yoki, by the way. Tulta is constantly worrying about him because they were on the same squad. He was there for the air raid when Tulta saved his life and he almost died in the war. That's why he has scars on his face and he lost an eye. So, he is no longer active combat and, Tulta is fretting about him fucking constantly. Old man Yoki just kind of like trains the new recruits now. Perhaps Yoki is out of bed when he shouldn't be, again. Then that's all this is. But a glance in his quarters says that, for once, he's not fighting the doctor's orders given to him yesterday, and he's still sound asleep. Another item off the list of probable concerns. It's always Citrini lately, huh? He mumbles after he closes the door. It's more like it's always likey, but he can't voice that aloud. Citrini's conditions are debilitating, but they aren't typically progressive. Despite this known fact, he would know. He's a fucking doctor himself. His godson only seems to get worse by the month. No amount of pestering or auditing or half-empty threatening has changed anything over the past few years. One of these days, he's going to have to do something drastic about it and beg for forgiveness instead of permission. Maybe today, even. He pulls out his phone and sends a quick message to Citrini asking if he's alright. 5 minutes pass without an answer, so he calls, and it continues to ring until it says he's unavailable. Now there's a reason for his rising anxiety. Now he has to find Citrini himself, and it's proving to be a tedious affair. He's not with Silu, nor is he with Paulo or Sudan. He's not with Valo. He's not with Amonqueto. He's not with Voravesi or Orinko or Tuli or Helios or Suxu or Likey. The last place he can think to check with great exasperation is with Sephirin. Sephirin, he starts. Have you seen Citrini? He was in a fuss about an hour ago with Uzva. He replies. I heard him ranting. Something about the way Pelvi is being treated. I haven't seen him since. And finally, he has an answer. Did you not follow up? Never mind, thank you, he says. This has gotten much worse. He turns back down the hall where Pilvi's binds are. Ravan, he shouts, to which the knight answers in question. Calls back from Amonqueto's classroom general direction. Tulta, what can I do for you? Is Pilvi alright? He asks. Surely Pilvi is just fine. Ravan would be breaking down otherwise. He still has to ask. Mostly, why? Is he not hurt? He's not hurt or sick? No, Revan says. He's very stormy and frustrated. Pause. I must give you context. Here's cultural things that you guys will like. Mystericans don't refer to negative emotions as I'm sad, I'm this, like we do. I'm this, I'm sad, I'm depressed. Like we put the emotion on ourselves and we say I'm sad, I feel like this. Mystericans see depression and negative emotions and things like that as a storm that they're feeling, and they refer to it as my soul is storming. They will say, my soul is storming. I'm storming. They refer to it as a storm. So when Revan says, no, he's just very stormy and frustrated, that's what he means. That the kid is feeling negative emotions and he's not feeling super great. So he just says, I'm stormy. But Safirin said that Citrini said someone is mistreating him. Ah. There's a pause that he doesn't like. There's a drop in his stomach that he likes even less. He's going to hate this answer, whatever it is. We had a meeting at the church a few days ago. The Pispa is very rude to him and to me, and it's made him stormy. Oh, he sighs. But Citrini is protective. So he must have gone to the church. Oh no! And he's off again, practically running back to his office where Vario is still plugging away at their shared reorganization efforts. The man's head lifts and gold eyes filled with concern meet his own. What's wrong? Vario questions. Who's dead? No one yet. I need you to go look in the skies around the church for Citrini. I'm going there myself. It takes him nearly no time at all to get there at his top speed, and his momentum doesn't slow when his feet touch the crystal floors, just past the grand entrance. Despite the echo of his own steps and his pulse roaring in his ears, he can still pinpoint exactly where that rotten sewer snake of a man. He doesn't try to hide his own cutting glare as he heaves the door open without care for etiquette. The Pispa's office smells faintly of tea and old books. Somehow, it's still disgusting. Every cell in his body is repulsed by everything about this place, and it has been for decades. Where is Symphonia? He growls. Okay, we're back. Vario point of view. I told you guys I've been writing him more. Vario point of view. Captini had seemed more than angry when they met. Apparently, Keto stormed off in a rage again and decided to go handle issues with the Pispa personally, or so they were assuming. And if that was the case, it didn't spell anything good. Anything dealing with Hopia Sumu never did. Dude! I almost want to go back and count how many times you've been hit today. Let's play a fun game. Oh, it won't let me scroll all the way back. I'm fine. And just what it's given me. How many times did you get hit? Oh. 1. Yeah, it is. It's 5 times. And just from how far I could go back, it was 5 times, but it's been more for that. More than that, because it didn't let me go all the way back in the chat. You've been hit like 5 times. I don't know why. Okay. Where am I at? Here we go. Apparently, Kiddo stormed off in a rage again and decided to go handle the issues with the Pispa personally, or so they were assuming, and if that was the case, it didn't spell anything good. Anything dealing with Hopia Sumu never did. Even more so, because Citrini hated him. He has been hissing at that man since they were very small, and he honestly can't say he blames him. So he really isn't surprised when he spots a blur of brown and orange flying in a wobbly mess towards the direction of the palace. He would know that boy anywhere, even even if now he was very much a man. He will always just be a small kitten to him. He's not his child. But at the same time, he almost belongs to the whole palace in one way or another with the amount that everyone helped to pitch in and raise him. Tuli needed help, Shoki was gone. Captini Tulto was almost always busy. The pair of them were gone a lot, and Yoki did a lot of stepping in their stead, while they were. But the Shadow himself, he has spent so much time at the symphony's back that he doesn't think too much of it when he just scoops the musician out of the air and into his arms. He's too wobbly to fly, and he really shouldn't be anyway. He gives him one glance to check him over quickly, catching the haze in his eyes before the man of silence quickly falls asleep in his arms. Citrini really shouldn't have been flying in his condition, and he's quite upset that he was. The Captini is going to be so upset. He'll call him once he has their boy safe in bed where he belongs. It's a short flight back home and a short trip through the halls to get to Citrini's room, where he slips himself inside and sighs at the state of his nest, a messy pile of crumpled up blankets, half on the mattress and slipping into the floor. He's gentle as he lays the sleeping man down and then sets him up to slide the hair tie out of his hair. He sets the pen he still insists on keeping tucked in his ponytail to the side in the nightstand, and then takes his time to strip the vest off of him, soon followed by his shoes, so that he sets off to the side neatly. The knight leans to make sure the younger is tucked in properly before he pulls an orange plush cat down from the shelf and tucks it in the sleeping man's arm. He then steps out of the room and pulls out his phone, dialing Captini Tulta's number, waiting for him to pick up before he begins. Captini, I found him. He's safe. He's home. I put him in bed. Sumo's point of view. It doesn't shock him to find out that Selu Boy hates him, and in all honesty, the feeling is mutual. It bothers him that Pilvi chose someone so below his station for the job. What does shock him is apparently he's courting Citrini of all people. And he's struggling to understand why Citrini would settle for someone like that. He'll have to see what else he can get out of him the next time he comes back. He could use new music for the choir. He can hear voices outside his office telling something that they can't be in here and the Pispa isn't to be disturbed. And if he had to take a guess, then someone would be coming to pay him a visit right about the door is shoved open with little decorum, and when his eyes settle on the sight of the indigo night in front of him, he understands why. His own lips pull into a thin smile as he looks the man before him. Tool. He can't even get the man's name out of his mouth before he's snapping at him about Symphonia's location. So he sighs and sets his hand down on his desk and folds them neatly in front of himself. Citrini, I don't know where he is. He was just here, but he left. And where he went from here is beyond me. Hold on. Okay, no, I gotta go to your blog. I was gonna say you replied, but I haven't. Tulsa's point of view. A hot surge of new rage floods straight to his face, and the tips of his ears, eyes narrowing into thin slits as he reminds himself that soul tapping is a threat display. It won't do a damn thing. The Pispa can't take such blatant disrespect back after all. You should know better than to first name him, Hopia. He hisses through gritted teeth, making a point to pronounce every syllable despite the immense risk involved. He wouldn't be the first in his family to tragically fade away after interacting in a way this man didn't like. Hieka was never fond of him, and nothing will ever convince him that Sumu didn't play a role in how she and her bond went, considering how much he was around at their ends. Yet, he has a feeling nothing will come from this. Death always seems to pass him over no matter how much he stares it straight in the face. It takes those around him, but for whatever reason, he continues to escape its cruel grasp. If you don't like it out of my mouth, don't let his name come out of yours. You should know basic cultural respect in a station like yours, Pispa. Tell me where he... His phone interrupts his demand, and he decides answering Vario is more important than interrogating this monster. He doesn't even get a greeting out before his lieutenant explains that the sunspot in question has been located and safely tucked in bed. Kitos, Vario. I'm headed that way now. Meet me there. Without Sumu giving any further acknowledgement, he leaves the office and heads back towards the palace. The trash doesn't need to come home with him after all. He's all but burning black on a familiar path down the halls to Ceftrini's room. And when he finds the door, he takes a moment outside to let the rage simmer back down. He can't solve whatever this problem is without a clear head. He can't help if he can't think. After lightly knocking, he pushes the door open and crosses the distance to the pit Cetrini calls his nest. He's still just like his father in making nests. Sunspot, you alright? He asks, kneeling gently to pet orange fluff out of his godson's face. Before he can get an answer, he turns his gaze up to Vario for the reality of the situation. They both need answers before his mind can rest easy. Is he alright? You looked him over, right? And that one's on me. That's my fault. I have to reply. That one's on me. That's my fault. I have to reply. Now we need to get to, because you need them. Is this where we started? That's where we started. This one's also on my fault. Boop, boop. This one is Terletti and Aurinko. So, Terletti, he cannot believe Silu has dragged him into the palace. Further, he cannot believe Silu has gently but firmly shoved him. Welcome back. We're reading Terletti and Aurinko. He cannot believe Silu has dragged him into the palace. Further, he cannot believe Silu has gently but firmly shoved him into His Majesty's office with only the introduction, hey, he wrote the book on your desk, have fun! And then, in true Aqua Silu fashion, the door has been shut and the little blue otter of a man has skittered down the hall, leaving both of them alone. What a terrible way to meet. I'm sorry. I can leave. I don't know didn't know he would do that. Aurinko. He's not expecting anyone today. But soon his office door is opening and Silu is stepping inside, dragging a green gentleman in by the hand. The poor man looks absolutely bewildered as the musician announces that he is the author of the book he's been reading for the past few days. So apparently this is Viria Terletti. The Solar King isn't even aware of how round his eyes have gotten at this information. And before he can ask Silu how they know each other, the musician is suddenly skittering down the hall, never to be seen again. He's probably on the hunt for his very orange cat of a bond. Helskatavata, it means nice to meet you. Please have a seat. I know this is all probably very overwhelming, but don't be nervous. It's okay. There's no need to leave. I would love to have a chat with you. We can start small. How do you know Silu? Terletti. His Majesty says not to be nervous, but it's difficult. Much easier said than done, especially when he'd had no time to prepare anything to say. Talking through books is significantly less difficult for him. Sure, typing too long gives him a terrible headache, but at least when he's writing, he can rephrase as many times as he wants to. He can keep a degree of separation between himself and his readers, one that allows them to actually hear what he has to say past the apprehension they'd feel if speaking in person. It, at least he's cued to sit down and to speak about something easy. He could talk about either of his siblings for hours on end. Of course he could. They're far more important to him than he could ever express in any language. He settles on the very comfortable couch and laces both his hands neatly together in his lap. Silu is my younger brother, he explains. Adoptive, since I was 14, but I've lived at our house since I was 12, and we were friends when I was 6. He and Sudan have both been trying to get me out here since they bound. I just haven't been able to fly that far, and I didn't want to interrupt their work. I guess he decided for me that today was the day. You know how he is by now, I'm sure. Arinko. This is unexpected. He doesn't remember Silu saying anything about having a brother. Then again, he doesn't directly talk about his relationship with Citrini outside of the palace walls much, so can't be too surprised. Adoptive, he said. Best friends since he was 6. So it's similar in a way to his relationship with his own brother. Terletti explains that he hasn't been out here yet, only because he can't fly that far, and the pieces to compare him to his own sibling just seem to keep lining up. I see. That makes sense. My little brother can't fly far distances on his own either. We're also adoptive, in a sense, I guess. We are related by blood, technically cousins, but we were raised side by side, and I've been carrying him around since he was born. So he's my little brother, and I really don't care what anyone else has to say about it. So, what I mean to say is, I get it. Family is family, regardless of relation. He smiles as he organizes his papers for a moment and marks his place so he won't lose where he was before he sets them to the side so his guest can have his full attention. I don't know. I do know how he is. Quite well. That's exactly why we picked him for the job. He's the best match we could have found for Pilvi, quite honestly. Sudan, too. They're both just wonderful and excellent at their jobs. They're practically family to us now. That being said, will you stay for dinner? You're welcome to stay as long as you like. Please sleep. If it's bedtime, please sleep. You too. Thank you for popping in. Terletti. Gold Eyes watch as papers are shuffled and organized into a semi-neat stack on the king's desk. He listens about how they relate to things, which is approximately 2 items more than he thought coming in. They're both adoptive older brothers, and they both adore Silu and Sudan. A smile starts to tug at his lips as he realizes that the sun's warmth Silu has spoken about is being extended towards him. Time is being made for him too. It's kindness he's not very familiar with outside of his own small pockets of relationships. The king is one of the rare few who's not terrified of him, or at least he's great at hiding it if he is, and something about that makes the air feel easier to breathe. I can stay, he replies, but I'm curious. How do meals work around here? Masks and poison and all. This is the real test. Is he going to be made to sit outside or in an area all by himself, or maybe perhaps he'll be welcome to the table with everyone else, but he knows that's a far reach to hope for. Rinko. He finds himself pausing to think about his question, and then he tilts his head to the side at the sound of it. He is asking, oh, because of his mist. You sit at the table with the rest of us. Two of Uzva's binds are green, if you're worried. Pilvi's prime is also green, and he has a pink bind. Uzva does as well. I'm not worried about your mist, Teraletti. We're on, like, I think you probably got hit like 10 times tonight. This is ridiculous. Why is it just you? That's so weird that it's just you. Chaos is out for Lemon. That's exactly what's happening. Chaos is out for Lemon. We blame everything on Chaos in this house. So I'll explain Chaos for a second. Why I keep referencing Chaos. Chaos is the main enemy of Final Fantasy Unlimited. Chaos is, cool, we're gonna explain Chaos for a second. Why I keep saying it's Chaos's fault and we blame everything on Chaos. Chaos is a being. I don't mean chaos as in like an action or it's chaotic. I mean as a living, breathing being. Chaos is the main enemy of Final Fantasy Unlimited and the creator of Wonderland. Chaos is a galactic world destroyer and it destroys worlds. Yeah, Chaos destroys worlds. It literally devours worlds. And what it does is it devours a world, keeps like a fragment of it, and then it takes that fragment and it smashes it into Wonderland. So then Wonderland is now this world that is created basically like a gigantic quilt. I haven't played the game, so I can't say yes or no. Boy, Chaos is like this gigantic quilt that is made up of the fragments of destroyed worlds. And, it then also keeps a small fragment of the population of those worlds so that they have to live in Wonderland. And it does that because then it sends out all its followers and the people that support Chaos to basically inflict torture and turmoil on the people of Wonderland that are trapped there so that they feel horror and negative emotions, because Chaos as a being feeds on negative emotion. And then it uses that negative emotion to create power, and then it uses that power to destroy more worlds, rinse and repeat. That's Chaos. And Chaos is the big bad. So we blame everything on fucking Chaos. It's Chaos's fault. Chaos is the fucking problem. Okay, we were reading Arinko. You sit at the table with the rest of us. Two of Uzva's binds are green, if you're worried. Pilby's Prime is also green, and he has a pink bind. Uzva does as well. I'm not worried about your miss, Terrality. It only kills if you deliberately exhale deeply. It's not going to hurt anyone if you're just eating dinner, so there's no need to worry. He's smiling again as he answers, folding his hands in front of himself on his desk. But you're not allergic to anything, are you? Citrini is deathly allergic to shellfish, so it's fine if you are. We can make accommodations for it, no problem. Terraletti. Maybe this is why Selu shoved him in here. Maybe it was so that he could understand that, despite the way things worked out towards the edge of the island, things are much different in the palace. Both his siblings have tried to explain it to him, and not once did he find himself able to fully grasp it. Even something as simple as understanding it is relatively safe for him to eat at the table is usually too much to ask for, but not here. Not, oh, hold on, like a visual thing in your brain. Mysterica has like a planet, and that it also has floating sky islands, and the capital is on a floating sky island. Silu lives out on the very like back edge of that capital that's considered like the more low class poor type area, where he's not super close to the big city like center where the palace is. So he's considered to live out in like the poor area, or what would be what would be considered like living in the sticks. So it's a very long distance from there to the palace. Um Not with the king himself, and therefore not likely with any other of the royal knights either. Further, the two princes are bound to people like himself, so it is becoming increasingly obvious that the discrimination is, as suspected, entirely church-based. Lord Orinko is far more concerned with any potential food allergy he may have than with him being present, and it leaves his jaw hanging open behind his mask as he stands there, stunned in silence for a moment before he finds his words again. Of course, sorry, I'm not used to invitations. No, I'm not allergic to anything that I know of. Thank you for asking. Orinko. There's a frown on his lips behind his mask as he listens, and he hears that he's not used to invitations, and he's come to realize that most of the people who come into the palace of what the church calls lesser colors are all like this. Most of them are awkward and nervous, and they have to go through this song and dance far more often than he cares for. So please, sit, and we can discuss things for a while, or just get to know each other. Tell me more about your parents. Silu's, I mean, they're your parents too. The pair of them, they have become such beloved members of the palace. Tell me about you. What made you decide to be a writer? What else do you do? Hold on. I'm the loser that hasn't replied. Caroletti. He sits as directed, twisting both his hands together in his lap as he tries to understand this whole situation. The king wants to know him, and he is so warm and kind, nothing like the idea he's been brought up with all his life. Maybe that's why he's so loved by the whole kingdom. He wonders what it would be like briefly. I'm a writer because, and it's like he can't finish the sentence. Words hate to leave his mouth, and that's honestly part of the reason why he writes so much. Writing gives him time to think and reword as much as he wants, anytime and anywhere. Talking is awkward and unrehearsed, and sometimes too fast to keep up with. Beyond that, the brain fog often takes his words away by surprise right as he's getting them out. What a terrible time to make an example of himself. This. He finally gets out with an awkward laugh, gesturing vaguely to himself. I also work in the library. As a librarian, I used to be a clerk. You're getting to know Terraletti. That's all we have that's for that right now. What time is it? Okay. We've covered Sumu. I gave you the extra stuff. I'm trying to decide. No, we have to write the problem. We have to write breakup era. Um, I think, okay, I think it's been 2.5 hours. Yeah. I think that's all we're gonna do for today. I gotta decide what else I want to read. I think that's all we're gonna do for the day. My throat does feel slightly scratchy. And it's been 2.5 hours. So we're gonna stop there today, and I will be back on Monday. What is Monday? 24th. Um, um, I'll drink something anyways. I'm gonna down one of my drinks when I get off. Um, so yeah, I appreciate you guys coming and listening. I've written out the entirety of the Ritual of the Holy Blade if you want me to read that. Um, see there. Lemon got you. Yeah, I've written out the entirety of the Ritual of the Holy Blade, so I can read that too, but we're not doing that today, because that bitch is like 20 pages long. Um, but we can do that. That's all Pilby point of view. Um, yeah, I will be back on Monday. I haven't decided with what yet. We'll get there. Um, I'm so glad that you guys like that, because I love writing and I love reading. Reading it aloud, so we can do that. We can also start like actually reading through like the meta lore, so you like understand how Mysterica works as a culture. Um, so that's fantastic. Yes, let's go. I love that you're just sitting there doodling. Yeah, we'll come back on Monday. I haven't decided with what yet. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Yeah, it'll be Monday, Tuesday again next week, because my work week shouldn't be fucking weird. Yeah, it'll be Monday, Tuesday again next week. So I appreciate you guys.